Last year, we honored the life, faith, and adventure of Father Vincenzo Anellini, who dropped everything to come to a foreign land and begin the Oblate's presence in the United States. But that's only part of the story. What happened after he arrived? Well, for that, we'll need to turn to the life of Father Dave Beauregard.
Well, I admire Father Dave because, he's late 30s. He's an academic dean in English at the University of Nebraska. And he gives it up because he feels that God's calling him. Yeah. And he takes a chance on Jesus and goes to Rome and enters the seminary.
Yeah, he brought me in his office. He showed me his license that he got his master's dissertation and then his doctorate. He went on, gets into university. He's set for life. Yeah. And then he starts at the very beginning, he has to go back and be a postulant in his seminary with a bunch of other people that don't have the credentials that he has. He had to start this operation from scratch, which is really hard to do. It's an amazing thing, and he built this up and it's a lot of credit to him for that. Yeah.
At that time, I was looking for some kind of community life. The university's pleasant enough, but the church I'd rather serve the church and look back on my life that way rather than the other way. At the end of 4 years, I told the rector major that I couldn't take another year of theology. I knew all this stuff, and there was not much point in my going on in that. So he said, well, listen, we're going to send you over to Boston. Why don't you start a 2-year program there?
In the year 1976, 5 of us arrived from Rome, Italy. They gave us $5,000 for starting money. And I think in the first or second week when the Boston Steam Heat sent us the bill, they took all of our money. We were broke. So needless to say, it was extremely cold in here. And one day the doorbell rang and Father Dave Beauregard answered the door. A man was named Phil Crotty, and he generously gave us $4,000 or $5,000 to heat up the place. And it was a very welcome relief. Never so cold in my life. At night, Father Dave Beauregard and I would go over to the Boston Library to get warm and to do a little reading. When we went outside, we took off some of our heavy clothing. We came back in the house here, we put it back on. That's how cold it was.
After 1 year, I began to devise a program, and invitation of one of our donors, Dr. Phil Crotty. Peter Crafe offered to teach courses at our place, which he did for about 20 years, I think.
Who was really qualified to begin a seminary in those days? I was very good at planting tomato plants, so were you.
And they tasted delicious.
And they tasted delicious, and we kept them on the table, but we couldn't put together a program.
No.
He came with his doctorate, and he began the seminary and set up a tremendous program here. And we had the best professors, Dr. Howard, Raphael Bello, Dr. Ann Pulsifer.
I entered the seminary in 1983, and that was my first experience of Father Dave. He was the academic dean. He was teaching English literature, English, Shakespeare, a bunch of other classes. And so I made an appointment with Father Dave, and I told him maybe I don't have a vocation because I just don't get it. I didn't get the academics. And what he said to me was, he said, let me see your notes. So he looked at my notes and he asked, what's this word here? And I said, melon cauliflower? And he goes, you mean melancholic? I go, yeah, that's it. And he goes, you don't know what that means? I go, no, what does it mean? And he paused, he looked at me, and he said, Jim, this is not your fault, this is my fault. And his humility of taking the blame for my bad grades, that it was somehow his fault, that he assumed way too much. And then he told me how to take notes. Then he told me that I need to ask a question if I didn't understand something. And he said there's no such thing as a stupid question. And from that point on, my grades just shot right up.
Yeah. Not too long ago, we were driving into St. John's Seminary. The two of us are, the professors at St. John's. I said to Dave, remember back in the seminary, my first semester, you guys wanted to throw me out because I wasn't smart enough. You didn't think I'd be able to go to Rome and study in Italian, philosophy. Did you ever think, with all your great students and all the people that you had, it would be you and I would be the ones, be the professors going to St. John's? Did you ever think at that time that would happen? And he said, that was gone.
When Father Dave came into our world here at St. Clement's, Our Lady of Grace Seminary, he really built up the foundation of the intellectual life and the academics, with the ability to give the men a really profound, I think, powerful academic formation, one of the pillars of formation. We've now also been able to really build on our human formation and our spiritual formation. And one of the things that I've learned in the last 10 years of doing formation work is accompaniment, to accompany our guys one-on-one. And actually in the seminary, in the larger seminaries, your diocesan life, that's almost impossible to do, to give a man a one-on-one, I'm going to walk with you, I'm going to journey with you. And I think that we have just the capacity, because we're a small order, to give our men that experience of just being accompanied with. And in many ways also, to reflect what fatherhood looks like.
It was almost like the story of David and Goliath, when David shows up in front of Goliath and he has no helmet, he has no experience fighting, he has no protection, he has no sword, and he's going up against this experienced warrior. And that was us. We went into the seminary, we had no skills for writing, rhetorical skills, we couldn't spell, and he brought us up.
I love just that image that we stand on the shoulders of the giants who've gone before us, and that I would not be able to do the work that I'm doing now if it wasn't from the Oblate formation team that has throughout the years brought us to a place that we're in now.
In these humble walls of St. Clement's, as you said, cold and sometimes damp and beaten up, we had the greatest formation program, and Dave Beauregard speared it all. And when you asked him, he humbly said, it just fell into place, but it didn't just fall into place.
That's for sure.
He's the one that put it together.
Right.
That's pretty much my story. So it's all providential, it's all God's grace, believe me.
Father Dave, on behalf of all of us, thank you for your lifetime of service.